The envelope was cream-colored, official, and addressed in bold red letters, "Final Notice." Stella stood in the doorway of her boutique, still holding the package she'd just signed for, her fingers trembling slightly as she turned it over. Around her, the morning bustle of Ikeja continued, Okada riders honking, hawkers calling out their wares, the smell of akara frying from the mama put across the street. But everything felt distant, like she was watching her life through foggy glass. She ripped open the envelope. The first line made her legs weak. RE default on secured business loan, 7 million naira. Her mind went blank. Then it raced. 7 million what? She didn't have a loan. She'd never taken a loan in her life. Every single thing in this boutique, every rack, every mirror, every bolt of fabric had been paid for with money she earned herself, slowly, carefully, one sale at a time. Her hands shook as she read further. Loan disbursed April 12th, first payment due May 12th, 3 months overdue, business assets pledged as collateral, legal action pending. And there, at the bottom of the page, scanned and stamped and legally binding, was her signature. Except it wasn't. It looked like hers. The loops were similar, the slant was close, but she knew her own hand. This was a copy. A good one, but a copy. Her phone buzzed. A text from her assistant. "Madame, I'm running late. Traffic is mad. Be there in 30. Stella didn't reply. She walked slowly to the back office, her heartbeat loud in her ears, and pulled open the filing cabinet. The blue folder where she kept all her business documents sat exactly where it should be. She opened it. Everything was there. Business registration, tax clearance, lease agreement, everything except one thing. The original registration certificate, the one with her signature, the one that proved she owned this place. She sat down hard in her chair, the room spinning slightly. And then, like ice water down her spine, a single name surfaced in her mind. Kunle. Her brother had been here 3 months ago, April. He'd borrowed her keys to print something urgent because his office printer was broken. She'd been at the fabric market in Balagan. She'd trusted him. She grabbed her phone and dialed. It rang 4 times before he picked up. "Sister me," his voice was bright, cheerful. "How far? I was just thinking about you." Kunle. Her voice was flat. 7 million naira, Kunle, against my business. Silence. Not the confused kind, the guilty kind. "Kunle, answer me." "Ah, Stella, wait now, let me explain." 7 million naira, Kunle, against my business. He heard him exhale slowly. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" "It was for the wedding. Mariam's family, they had expectations. The venue alone was 2 million. The asoebi, the live band, the cake. So you stole from me." "I didn't steal," he rose defensively. "I borrowed. I was going to pay it back before you even knew it. The contract I was waiting for, it was supposed to come through, but it got delayed. I just needed more time." Stella laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Time, Kunle. They're threatening to seize my shop." I know, but listen, the contract finally came through last week. I'm getting paid next month. I'll settle everything, I swear." "Next month," she repeated it slowly. "The letter says I have 14 days. I'll talk to them. I'll explain." "Explain what, Kunle? That you committed fraud? Don't use that word." Now he sounded panicked. "I'm your brother. I made a mistake, but family helps family, Abi." Something inside her snapped. "Family helps family," she repeated softly. So when I was sleeping on Auntie Bimpei's floor, working 3 jobs to save money for this shop, where were you? Stella, she continued, her voice shaking now, I was building my life, and you walked in here and gambled it away for a party. It wasn't just a party, he said quietly. It was my wedding. Then you should have had the wedding you could afford. She hung up. For a long moment, she just sat there, staring at the cream-colored letter, at the numbers that might as well have been a death sentence. The boutique bell chimed. Her assistant, Ngozi, rushed in, slightly out of breath. "Madame, sorry I'm late. The holdup is something else." She paused, taking in Stella's expression. "Madame, are you okay?" Stella looked up at her. Ngozi was 23, earnest, always early except when Lagos traffic had other plans. She'd been working here for 8 months and talked constantly about opening her own shop someday. "Ngozi," Stella said slowly, "if I asked you how much money you could raise in 2 weeks, what would you say?" Ngozi blinked. "Me? Maybe 150,000 if I beg my uncle and sell my phone?" She tilted her head. "Why? Madame, what's wrong?" Stella handed her the letter. She watched Ngozi's eyes move across the page, watched them widen, watched her hand fly to her mouth. "Jesus, Madame, this is 7 million? "I didn't take the loan." "Then how—" Understanding dawned. "Your brother." Stella had mentioned Kunle before, complained about him really, how he always had a scheme that was about to pay off, how he borrowed money and returned it late, if at all, how her mother always made excuses for him because he was the only son. "What are you going to do?" Ngozi asked. "I don't know." That was the truth. For the first time since she'd started this business, Stella genuinely had no idea what to do next. The next few days passed in a blur of phone calls and dead ends. She called the bank. They were sympathetic but firm. The signature matched their records, the loan was legally binding, and unless the full amount was paid or a concrete repayment plan was established within 14 days, they would begin asset seizure proceedings. She called a lawyer. He quoted her a consultation fee that made her laugh and cry at the same time. She called Kunle 4 more times. He didn't pick up. Then he sent a text. "Sister, please, I said I'll handle it. Stop stressing." Stop stressing, as if her entire livelihood was hanging by a thread. On day 5, she did something she'd sworn she'd never do. She called her mother. "Stella, my daughter, how are you? How's business?" Her mother's voice was warm, familiar, and for a moment Stella almost couldn't speak. "Mama, I need to talk to you about Kunle." The warmth cooled slightly. "What has he done now?" Stella explained everything. The loan, the forged signature, the 2-week deadline. When she finished, there was a long pause. "Stella," her mother said carefully, "you know your brother. He has always been ambitious, sometimes too ambitious, but his heart is good." "His heart is good," Stella's voice rose. "Mama, he stole from me." "He made a mistake." "A mistake is forgetting to lock the door. This is fraud." "Don't use that word," her mother said sharply, echoing Kunle's earlier sentiment. "He is your brother, your only brother. What do you want me to do? Disown him?" "I want you to take my side for once." Silence. Then quietly, "I am always on your side, Stella. Both of you. I am your mother. But what good will it do to destroy him? The wedding is done, the money is spent. What happens now if you involve police? He goes to jail? His marriage collapses? Then what have we gained?" Stella closed her eyes. "And what about me, Mama? What about my shop?" "You are strong. You have always been strong. You will find a way. But Kunle, he is not like you. He needs help, not punishment." Stella hung up without saying goodbye.
She sat in the dark boutique long after closing time, surrounded by the dresses she'd selected, the displays she'd arranged, the dream she'd built. And she cried. Not delicate tears, big, ugly, shoulder-shaking sobs. Because she'd known, somewhere deep down, that this was how it would go. Kunle would mess up, Mama would make excuses, and she would be expected to just absorb it, to be strong, to find a way. She was so tired of finding ways. On day 8, something unexpected happened. A woman walked into the boutique. She was older, maybe late 50s, dressed simply but well. She browsed for a while, running her fingers over the fabrics, before approaching the counter. "You're the owner?" Stella asked, straightening up and forcing a professional smile. "Yes, Ma," Stella replied. "I can tell." "Sorry?" The woman smiled. "The way you arrange things, the care in the displays, you can always tell when someone owns what they're selling versus when they're just working there." Despite everything, Stella felt a small glow of pride. "Thank you." The woman selected 2 dresses, paid, then paused at the door. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. Stella nodded. "I had a shop once in Surulere, sold children's clothes. My husband's cousin needed money for something. I can't even remember what it was anymore. He begged. I gave. He promised to pay back." Stella's stomach tightened. "He didn't, of course, and I didn't have enough left to restock for the next season. I lost everything." She adjusted her bag on her shoulder. "But you know what I learned?" "What?" "That family will take everything you let them take, and they'll call it love." She left before Stella could respond. That night, Stella made a decision. She sold her car. It was 7 years old, but well-maintained. She got 1.2 million naira. She emptied her savings account, another 800,000. She called in every debt, every "I'll pay you back" from friends and customers over the years, 300,000. She sold her gold jewelry, most of it gifts from her mother over the years, 200,000. And she went to the bank with 2.5 million naira and a proposal. The loan officer, a woman named Mrs. Adeyemi, reviewed her documents with a neutral expression. "This is barely a third of what's owed." "I know, but it's everything I have, and I'm proposing a structured repayment plan for the rest. 2 years. I'll increase my business hours. I'll take on alterations. Miss Stella." Mrs. Adeyemi's voice was gentle but firm. "The loan was taken out by someone who committed fraud using your identity. Have you reported this to the police?" Stella hesitated. "Because if you do, there may be legal remedies available to you. The debt could potentially be—" "He's my brother." Mrs. Adeyemi looked at her for a long moment. "I see. If I report him, he goes to jail. His wife leaves him. My mother never forgives me. And I still lose the shop because legal processes take months and you need payment now." "So you're choosing to protect him." "I'm choosing to protect myself," Stella corrected. "Reporting him doesn't save my business. It just destroys his life too. Then we both lose." Mrs. Adeyemi tapped her pen against the desk thoughtfully. "I'll take this to my supervisor," she said finally. "I can't promise anything, but I had a brother once, so I understand."
Had. Stella didn't ask. 3 days later, she got the call. The bank would accept her proposal with conditions: the 2.5 million up front, the remaining 4.5 million paid over 18 months instead of 24, and a guarantor with verifiable assets. She had 1 week to find someone willing to sign. Stella sat in her boutique, staring at her phone, scrolling through contacts. Who did she know with assets? Who did she know who would risk themselves for her? Her finger hovered over Kunle's name. Then she heard the bell. 3 women walked in, regulars. They came every month, always bought in bulk, always paid cash. "Stella," the tallest one, Aisha, beamed. "We need outfits for a naming ceremony next week.
Do you have anything?" For the next hour, Stella helped them select fabrics, suggested styles, measured and quoted prices. It was normal, routine, the kind of interaction that had built this place. As they were paying, the youngest one, Blessing, said casually, "You look tired. Business stress?" Stella meant to say no, meant to smile and deflect. Instead, she started crying. The three women exchanged glances. Stella, what is it?" And she told them. Not everything, but enough. When she finished, Aisha pulled out her phone. "How much did you say you still need?" $4.5 million, but I have a repayment plan. No, I mean today, right now, to clear it." Stella blinked. All of it, $7 million total, minus what I've already paid." Aisha made a call, spoke in rapid Yoruba, hung up. "My husband and I can contribute $500,000 today." Blessing pulled out her checkbook. "I can do $200. The third woman, who Stella realized she'd never even learned the name of, said quietly, "I'll match Aisha, $500. Stella stared at them. "Why?" "Because 3 years ago," Aisha said, "when my mother died and I had to travel suddenly and I had already ordered 10 asoebi for my cousin's wedding, you held them for me for 6 months without charging storage, remember?" Stella barely did. "And because," the third woman finished, "women need to help women. Men certainly won't." They weren't enough, not close, but they were something. And they made calls. Within 2 days, word had spread through a network Stella didn't even know she was part of. The woman who bought church fabric from her every December sent money. The bride whose wedding dress Stella had altered 3 times free contributed. The neighbor who Stella had once given free accessories to when her card declined sent her sister to drop off cash. It still wasn't enough, but it was more than Stella had thought possible. On day 13, with 1 day left for the deadline, Stella had 5.3 million naira. She was 1.7 million short. That evening, Kunle showed up at the boutique. He looked terrible, thinner, dark circles under his eyes. His shirt was wrinkled. "Sister," he said quietly. She didn't respond. She was counting bills, organizing them into stacks. "I heard what you've been doing. Mama told me. The car, the jewelry." "What do you want, Kunle?" He placed an envelope on the counter. She opened it. Inside was a check, 300,000 naira. "It's not enough," he said. "I know it's not enough, but it's everything I have right now. The contract money, most of it went to other deaths. I'm so sorry, Stella. I'm so sorry." She looked at him, really looked at him. He wasn't smirking, wasn't making excuses. He just looked broken. "Why didn't you just ask me?" she said finally. "If you'd asked, I might have helped. I've helped before." "Because you would have said no. So you decided to just take it?" "I thought I could fix it before you noticed. I thought—" He laughed bitterly. "I always think things will work out. That's my problem. I keep thinking I'm about to make it, about to turn the corner, and then I don't, and people like you have to clean up after me." "People like me?" "People who are better than me." They stood in silence. "The wedding was beautiful," he said quietly. "Everything Mariam wanted. Everyone said it was the best they'd ever been to." He looked at her. "But it wasn't worth this. It wasn't worth hurting you." Stella wanted to yell at him, wanted to throw the check back in his face, wanted to tell him that sorry wasn't good enough, that he'd nearly destroyed everything she had built, that he was selfish and reckless, and she was done. But she was so tired.
"I need a guarantor," she said instead. "Someone with assets to sign the repayment agreement." Kunle straightened. "I'll do it." "You don't have assets."
I'll use Mariam's car. It's in her name, but I'll convince her. And my company laptop, it's worth something, and I'll figure it out. I'll make it work." "Like you made the loan work?" He flinched, but didn't look away. "I know you have no reason to trust me, but let me try. Let me help fix this, please." Stella closed her eyes. She thought about the woman in Surulere who lost everything because she gave family grace they didn't deserve. She thought about her mother's voice, "He is your only brother." She thought about Aisha and Blessing and the network of women who had shown up for her without being asked. "Okay," she said finally. "Okay? Bring Mariam's car papers tomorrow. And Kunle. Yes? If you ever do anything like this again, I will report you myself, no matter what Mama says. Do you understand?" He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I understand." The next morning, Stella walked into the bank with 5.6 million naira, a guarantor and a plan. Mrs. Adeyemi reviewed everything carefully. "This still leaves you 1.4 million short," she noted. "I know, but I have a proposal for that too. I want to request a formal business development loan, separate from this one. I've been operating for 3 years with strong records. I want to expand, add a second location, and use the projected revenue to—" "You want to take out a loan to pay off a loan?" Mrs. Adeyemi looked skeptical. "No, I want to take out a loan to grow my business, which will enable me to pay off the fraudulent loan that never should have existed in the first place." Mrs. Adeyemi leaned back in her chair. "You know," she said slowly, "most people in your situation would be focused on survival. You're focused on an expansion. I'm focused on making sure I'm never in this situation again. If I'm bigger, stronger, more stable, then one person can't destroy everything." Mrs. Adeyemi smiled. "I'll need to review your business records. I have 3 years of receipts, tax filings, and customer testimonials." "Of course you do." 2 weeks later, Stella got her loan. Not 7 million, 1.5 million, enough to clear the fraudulent debt and have seed money for expansion. The conditions were strict, the interest was high, the timeline was aggressive, but it was hers, on her terms. Kunle kept his word. He got a second job. He sold his phone and bought a cheaper one. He showed up at the boutique every Saturday to help with whatever was needed: inventory, deliveries, cleaning. He didn't complain, didn't ask for thanks. He just worked.
Mariam came once, tight-lipped and angry, but after talking to Stella privately, something shifted. She started coming too, helping, learning. "He's an idiot," she told Stella one afternoon while they were steaming dresses, "but he's my idiot, and he's trying." "He is," Stella agreed. "You didn't have to give him a chance." "No, I didn't." "Then why did you?" Stella paused, considering. "Because destroying him wouldn't have saved me. And saving myself meant being smart enough to know the difference." 18 months later, Stella opened her second location. It was smaller than the first, more modest, but it was in a good area, and Ngozi managed it with the same earnest enthusiasm she brought to everything. At the opening, Aisha and Blessing and dozens of other women showed up with gifts and cash contributions and endless encouragement. Kunle came too, standing awkwardly in the back with Mariam, but he came. Their mother was there, beaming with pride, taking photos, telling everyone, "These are my children, both of them, so talented." Stella didn't correct her, didn't point out that one of those children had nearly destroyed the other.
didn't mention the sleepless nights or the panic attacks or the months of living on pure adrenaline and spite. She just smiled. Because the truth was messier than anger and simpler than forgiveness. The truth was that family would take what you let them take, that grace without boundaries was just enabling, that forgiveness didn't mean forgetting or excusing or pretending things didn't happen. It meant deciding what you were willing to carry and what you needed to put down. She'd put down the rage, the bitterness, the fantasy of making Kunle hurt the way he had hurt her. But she'd picked up something else, the knowledge of her own strength, the evidence that she could be knocked down and still get up, the proof that she'd built something real enough that even when someone tried to take it, it didn't disappear. That evening, after everyone had left and the boutique was quiet, Stella stood in front of the mirror she'd installed, the big one that let customers see themselves full length. Her look different than she had 18 months ago. Older, maybe, definitely more tired, but also more certain, more solid. Her phone buzzed. A text from Kunle. "Thank you for everything. I know I don't deserve it." She typed back, "You're right, you don't. Do better." Then she added, "But I'm proud of you for trying." She hit send, locked up the shop, and walked out into the Lagos evening. The city was loud and chaotic and frustrating and beautiful, just like her family, just like her life, and she'd built something here that could withstand all of it. If you've made it this far, thank you for staying with Stella's story. If it resonated with you, hit that like button. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. And subscribe, because we have more stories about the messy, complicated, beautiful work of being human. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had to choose between justice and peace? What did you choose? Let's talk about it.